Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4! And today, spawning on the west side of the map, playing in red, we've got Valdemar playing as the English. And battling against them today, spawning on the east side of the map, playing in blue, representing Team Liquid, it's DeMu playing as the Malians. Welcome everyone to Boldland. That's the map for today, and well, two interesting civilizations. We've got the English that we know all about, and to be fair, we know all about the Malians too. It's not particularly new these days. We've had the DLC come out quite a long time ago. Speaking of which, there will be a new DLC in 2025. So pretty excited about that. Kind of curious to see what the civilizations will be. I'm hoping for maybe a South American one, but who knows what will come our way. Maybe something like the Vikings from a different part of the world, of course. But let me know in the comment section below which civilization would you like to see coming in 2025. For today, though, we'll have to make do with the English versus the Malians, DeMu versus Valdemar. Now, interesting matchup because, of course, the meta recently has been about, well, professional scouts. And, well, the Malians do them pretty well because, of course, they get the Warrior Scout upgrade. Makes these scouts incredibly, well, not incredibly, but, you know, they're powerful. Makes them a lot more tankier, a lot more stronger. And with the health regeneration on them, it gives them a really nice tool to have in your armory as the Malians. Now, going up against the English, wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of javelin throws as well mixed in. But we'll have to see how this one has played out. We have got a couple of options for the English. Got two town centre plays behind, you know, the king coming out. Potentially, we'll have to see. Although Council Hall has been making a bit of a resurgence, and we've even seen some players go for professional scouts as the English. Not really expecting to see it today. I don't think it's particularly a viable approach. We have seen some players experiment with it. The question is whether Valdemar will be in an experimental mood today or not. I'm not so sure. What I do know is that the support on the channel has been absolutely fantastic, and I'm super grateful for that. So a big shout out, big thank you for everyone who's been supporting the channel. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you. Special, of course, the YouTube channel members and the Twitch subscribers. It's going to be the Council Hall, would you believe? So, alright, we're going to get some aggression. It's the 4 villages on the Council Hall, so going to have a really good uptime on this. Going to pressurize the gold position that's there for DeMu. Understandably so. I feel like the Malians are a civilization that you just don't want to let them do what they want to do, because if they get a cow boom nice and early, they've got passive gold generation, they've got everything that they need in the castle age to put so much pressure and do so much damage. And it looks like Valdemar going to try and counteract that with some early aggression. And it's a good map for him, I think, to do so, because this gold position is exposed. And granted, DeMu does have the gold at the back. But the nice thing for the Malians to adjust is that they can kind of tailor their booming approach in terms of cow production based on, you know, what aggression they're up against, right? You can opt for just a single mill of cow production. Some players go for 2 mills. Some people go for 3. It really just depends what you're up against. But with the aggression coming out for Valdemar, wouldn't be surprised to see DeMu just tailor his options a little bit, maybe go a bit more passive on the cow generation. Make sure that he invests a lot more into units nice and early, because he's going to be up against it in the early stages of the game. Could be building a barracks as well to add in a couple of spearmen for good measure for the push that's inevitably going to be coming on in. So decent number of sheep there for Valdemar should help him sustain a feudal age push. Now on a map like Boldland, it's a bit of a tricky one because the wood lines are kind of few and far between. There's a big chunk of it down in the middle of the map, but as it goes in terms of the base and the original kind of starting wood lines, they are pretty far out in terms of the town centre fire, so it's pretty risky to be in an exposed position. In that sense, it's actually a really aggressive map. I'd say more so than Dry Arabia, because Dry Arabia at least has some wood lines which are protected by the town centre. I can't say the same on this map, Boldland. So if Valdemar does get the position in terms of a bunch of longbows on a wood line, could pose some problems here for DeMu. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an archery range early for some javelin throws to counter the Council Hall production, which is in full force right now. Although there's a bit of a delay here for Valdemar, but that's okay, because he's made a couple of spearmen added into the mix. But, you know, DeMu sees all of this. He's keeping a track on where the spearmen and longbows will be. And I'm sure before too long, we'll see... he has not actually got one down yet, which is kind of curious. He's going to go for professional scouts. No real surprises there. Oh, did he just... I think he... Alright. Right, he's cancelled it. He recognises actually that you're probably not going to get too much value from professional scouts when you're up against this number of English units, because of course they'll just cut off the scout, the routes and the pathways. He's got enough sheep in the short term anyway And so instead of going for professional scouts, he's going to go for wheelbarrow. Probably a good idea, considering he's going to need to move those villagers sometimes very quickly, and the wheelbarrow, of course, would help with that. And there is the archery range now placed right underneath the town centre. He needs to make sure this goes up, and he should be able to make it happen. Now, the real thing for Valdemar, he's got a decision to make. Does he look to try and torch this pit mine, or does he try and get some value elsewhere? It looks like he's going to do a bit of the both. He's going to scout around the back and see where he might get some value. A couple of longbows heading that way now, as DeMu invests in a stable to counteract. So a lot of aggression is met with what's going to be a lot of defense before too long. But this is the problem now. These villagers are kind of exposed on the woodland. There are only 2 longbows, so they can't do too much just yet. And here comes the first javelin throw. So DeMu's woodline will be safe for now, at least, as Valdemar continues to put a bit of pressure on the pit mine. But it's just such a long time to burn this down that actually I don't think DeMu minds this too much. He's absorbing a lot of the pressure. And really, Valdemar could have had a bit more damage here around the back if he was able to move his units there. But instead, he has committed to take down the pit mine. It continues the production for now, at least. Every time I look at it, though, he's stalling out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Production resumes. The council hall really does produce them quickly, so he's struggling to keep on up. The javelin throw defense will be a nice one here for DeMu. In fact, I don't think he really needs to commit to stable units all that much, although it looks like he is going for warrior scouts. And it's not a bad idea anyway, because he's probably going to get that for professional scouts later on. As he now does commit to a second archery range, try and match the council hall production. Probably a wise move, because he really does need to scale the javelin thrower numbers up quickly if he can. Now, there's no blacksmith upgrade here for Valdemar just yet. That might be something he's thinking about in the future. He does have 2 villagers on gold at the moment, so possibly thinking about eyeing up a blacksmith and some upgrades before too long. With speaking of upgrades, by the way, DeMu does have some really important ones. He's got wheelbarrow and double broadaxe, so his economy is actually going to be quite significantly better than Valdemar's. So he's just got to absorb as much damage as he possibly can, and then make sure his economy does the talking later on, which Valdemar has now taken down the pit mine. So gold generation is going to be a bit tricky, although he does now have another one at the back. This is great for DeMu, because having the gold income whilst he's not making any cows just yet, he's banking up the gold so that he can later on. And he might even just make a cow to eat it once the sheep runs out, because he probably won't want to commit to too many cattle ranches, or any at all really. He needs to find a way to make sure that he can defend against this initial aggression. Iron Undermesh as a blacksmith upgrade is coming in for DeMu, which will be really helpful up against these longbow numbers. Just, make sure that they do a little bit less damage with each arrow. And the question is, when does DeMu try and venture out? He's got a couple of scouts already, try and pick off some reinforcements potentially. But he's holding on for now, and Valdemar not having a blacksmith, not having siege engineering just yet, means he can't do any significant structural damage. It looks like instead he's going to play it slowly and just make sure that DeMu can't commit to a cow boom too quickly. Now he's getting a couple more villages onto gold now, DeMu. So really looking to get the upgrades and then maybe some cows afterwards. He's lost a couple of javelin throwers on the front lines just because of the sheer numbers of these longbows. The scouts here laying in wait, which does stall things a little bit. Valdemar not sending his full army forward, keeping some at home just in case there is a bit of a counter raid. And he's actually backing away now. Ooh, sacrificing his spearman there a little bit, Valdemar. Hasn't been able to achieve too much, has committed quite a lot to the longbows. Maybe able to two-shot the javelin throwers, not quite. DeMu doesn't quite have the numbers, does lose the first villager of the game, would you believe? After all this aggression, actually, that's the first villager that DeMu's lost in this match. There's another batch of units heading across the map for Valdemar, looking to reinforce. A couple of spearmen will go down, which allow the cavalry now to kind of get on top of the longbows if they are coming out. Doesn't have anything kind of coming out here just yet. DeMu's on the berries. He's trying to get as much food off the map as he possibly can. But with Valdemar now heading back, it's a curious position and time to do it, because actually he was starving DeMu out of food. But now DeMu is able to get out into berries. Maybe start making some cows. Valdemar not too happy with the damage he's got so far, deciding to head back, and he's actually investing in man-at-arms. So going to be looking to get some of these. Pretty nice unit for the English to get. Only a couple of civilizations can do it in the feudal age. These are javelin throwers will be at risk if they get caught by them, but of course the man-at-arms aren't the fastest unit on the field, so he'll have a tough time catching up to the javelin throwers. And now professional scouts will be coming in for DeMu. He's going to be continuing with the game plan, just all a bit delayed, because he was up against a fierce English force, which is now grouped up together and looking to move out once again. But with this number of scouts, it's great for the Malians, right? Because it doubles up as, professional scouts. It's great for them, but also doubles up as a military unit, which, scales quite nicely as the game progresses. Certainly professional scouts has favoured some civilizations more than others, and Malians definitely fit into that bracket, I feel. Oh, he's working with 2 pit mines as well now, DeMu. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some cows on the way. He's got double mill production capabilities as well. Not making any just yet. Just getting a feel for the game. Just wants to see what he's up against. Like Valdemar starting the farming transition. And this is the one thing about English, actually. Like, the push is nice, but it is limited in terms of time, right? Now, he could have gone to berries. Potentially could have gone on to deer camp to delay the farming transition. Now, I mean, sure, the English farms are cheaper. But again, we see it in action. We've seen it in practice today. That actually any farming transition, whether you're English or Jushi or Bassid, they get cheaper farms. It still takes a bit of a sting out of the game for you, right? And it's allowed DeMu to not lose too much, and he's now able to do what he wants to do, which is get some deer packs in. And actually, the professional scouts is going to buy... Wait a minute. He's going to go for 4 mills? He's going to go for a massive cow boom, and he's going to do it really quickly. Understandably so. I mean, ultimately, he's got enough gold to do so, and he's not going to go to the castle age anytime soon, as you can see. So it makes a lot of sense to spend the gold that he's getting. Another way to do it would have been potentially to get a market, sell the, or buy food and buy wood rather, to spam out units. But without Iron Undermesh, these man-at-arms aren't actually doing a lot of tanking at all. He's able to take them out nicely with the javelin throws. Iron Undermesh will change that a little bit. But DeMu now feels confident taking the cow boom seriously. He's got 2 cattle ranches prepped and ready to go. Spending the gold nicely. There's a very big commitment here for Valdemar, actually pushing forward with this army. There's a lot of cows popping out. He might be able to snipe this one, actually, if he gets close enough, but I'm not sure if he'll make it there in time. Potentially he's trying to snipe it. No, he's going to go for the javelin throws instead. Probably the right move. And we talked about earlier in the cast how the wood line's a bit exposed, and DeMu recognizing that, just keeping that area nice and safe. After all this aggression, Valdemar has only been able to take out 2 villages, but he does have a nice farming transition. Of course, DeMu, whilst he's not getting farms, he's getting his cattle ranch transition very, very quickly. Look at that. His food income is absolutely skyrocketing because of it. 1,200 almost food per minute. In fact, it's pretty much double what Valdemar's getting, which is kind of crazy to think about when you see how many farms Valdemar actually has right now. And here comes the venison, the deer. He's going to have food for a very long time here, DeMu. And it's a very stable income as well. It's, he's really gearing up towards a castle age, would you believe, behind all this as well. Just needs a bit more gold. Could potentially kind of stop the cow booming for now. I mean, to be fair, he's getting a lot of deer camp in, so food will come in that way, for at least for the short term. A lot of idle villages, but he's probably going to transition onto gold, would probably be the right call. And in fact, no, he's going to go to wood for now. Perhaps wants to think about getting more production buildings. He's got triple archery range though, and a stable. Not too shabby, to say the least. The English are being a bit more patient as warning up, making sure that he's safe and secure before he moves out. And it is that typical English playstyle, right? Because he does ultimately have just infantry units, and they're not the fastest moving units in the game, of course. So he doesn't want to move out and get caught, which is something that the English are a bit vulnerable of doing. And the Castle Age coming in at a very nice time here for DeMu. And it will be the Grand Fulani Coral, so that food income is going to skyrocket. It's such a powerful landmark. Nearby cattle provide 20 food per minute extra. And, well, that cow boom is... I mean, it's pretty much finished now, would you believe? In a blink of an eye. He really achieved that quickly. The real question is how much will Valdemar commit to a push right now? His opponent's gone to the Castle Age. He's invested a decent amount of resources into doing so. So Valdemar, he'd be right in thinking he's got a bit more of an advantage in terms of military units. The question is, can he translate that into some significant damage before the upgrades come on in? Because look at this, queued up instantaneously, wedge rivets rather. You've got the veterancy for the warrior scouts and veterancy for all the the javelin throwers. There we go. That's exactly what we expected to see. Also getting shaft mining, getting the gather rate for gold a little bit extra. Let's get the gold quick time. But with the tech up, Valdemar decides, no thank you, I don't want to be up against a Castle Age army. I'll decide to go home and go to the Castle Age myself. The question is, what does he go for? He's not been under too much pressure, so I feel like King's Palace could be an option for him. White Tower is quite a safe approach, but he is indeed going to go for the King's Palace, which makes things a little bit more awkward because the King's Palace is a very expensive version of a second town centre. Now, of course, certainly does get to the Castle Age as well, but bear in mind with the second town centre, effectively now that food income needs to be really good. It needs to support 2 town centre production as well as military unit production. And to be fair, the farming transition is pretty nice, so the food income probably will be pretty decent to be able to sustain both the town centre's production as well as the military production. But a bit of pressure coming out from the javelin throwers. DeMu recognizing that Valdemar's not in the Castle Age, right? So there's no real threat militarily. So Valdemar is, put under pressure. DeMu doesn't feel any pressure or any concern about moving out like this. Although now the Castle Age is in for Valdemar, so DeMu might be thinking, well, okay, he's in the Castle Age now. We have to be a bit careful. Although it takes some time for upgrades to come in, so he's got a couple of seconds, maybe 30 seconds that he can be out on the field, pretty safely. Before he has to decide about thinking about going back home. Now, getting to the Castle Age, Monastery is being put down by Valdemar, as most players will do, because he's thinking about getting the relics, which actually, considering, DeMu got to the Castle Age significantly faster. Oh, there it is. I was thinking for a second maybe he hasn't got a mosque, but there it is. There's the first and there's the second. Yeah, he's going to race to them, and he's got a good opportunity to get the lion's share of them, right? Because he's got full map control at the moment, at least temporarily. Although he might start to think about moving out, because this is an army, fully ranged units, could get surrounded by cavalry, and there's not much of a front line to protect them. So he's got to be a bit cautious of that here, DeMu. And yeah, he is now deciding to head on back home. Now look at this farming transition, it's beautiful, but look at the food income for DeMu, more than keeping up with the cattle ranches on show today. Now this is great for DeMu. He's even been able to get pit mines on the big gold veins in the middle of the map, the neutral golds, as he does now start to get a couple of more warrior scouts on the field to protect his javelin throwers. It'd be a bit of a tanking unit. Bit of a fierce army there for Valdemar though. Man at arms, a couple of crossbows dished in, a couple of spearmen, and of course a healthy number of longbows. I feel like actually Valdemar taking a fight here would do pretty well. I mean, the javelin throwers will take care of the longbows quite nicely, but with Wedge... Oh, Wedge Rivers is actually not in yet for Valdemar, so he's going to have to rely on Iron Undermesh for his man-at-arms, which will still be doing pretty well against the javelin throwers if you can get close and personal to them. The warrior scouts will do well to tank, but a couple of spearmen mixed in there for Valdemar could be dangerous for DeMu. Wow, he's going to go for the Fort of the Huntress. Going to go for a relatively fast Imperial Age, but this is not great timing. Valdemar, he should spot this if he decides to end it. Oh, he must do now. I think that longbow spotted it. It's going to take the fight, and it feels like a fight that actually I think Valdemar wins, surely, right? I mean, his army's not big enough here for DeMu to fight off. He's going to take the fight anyway. He's going to commit because, I mean, I guess he has to, right? There's a lot of villagers exposed here, and Valdemar, he's got an option to take villagers out here rather than the army. That's probably a safe call. He might deny the landmark production, but the longbows are peppering arrows, and the villagers, there's not enough. They're going down quick time. There's only 6 there building. I don't think DeMu gets this up. It's going to be a tight one. He doesn't quite... He won't get that up. He's going to have to commit to more. I mean, there's another bunch of villagers. I'm not even sure if he's got textiles. Doesn't feel like he does. He does, and it's queued up now, but it's behind 2 villagers. He won't get there in time, and these longbows are going to pepper more out. Sure, there's javelin throws, and Valdemar might lose the majority of his army. I bet DeMu might lose the majority of his economy. Look at that. Villagers absolutely destroyed. And the Fort of the Huntress won't go up in the end anyway. That was so close, it nearly went up, but DeMu has lost 35 villagers trying to get that Fort of the Huntress up, and where does he go from here? I mean, sure, he's got to commit more, right? He's got to send more villagers, but it leaves them so exposed. But bear in mind, Valdemar is on effectively 2 town centers behind this, and, well, the javelin throws now, they've been doing a lot of damage, right? So the unit numbers are starting to dwindle for Valdemar, so maybe the villagers will get this up, but still it's going to be expensive. It's going to be costly. Man-at-arms, they're tanking and doing so much damage. It goes up in the end, the Fort of the Huntress, but at what cost? 40 villagers there for DeMu, a massive chunk of the economy, and Valdemar's got to be feeling good about his situation. He is in the Imperial Age, DeMu, and he did pick up 2 of the 5 relics so far. Another one is on the way. But his economy, look at it, 23 villagers versus 75. Valdemar, he is in a really strong position. The question is, though, he does still have some decisions to make. Does Valdemar go for a full Castle Age all-in to try and finish out the game? Does he try to go to the Imperial Age and play a macro game? bear one thing in mind. We have to be a little bit balanced in terms of the analysis of the situation right now. Sure, DeMu lost 40 villagers, which actually is pretty bad. But he does have still a very strong food economy. Make no mistake about it. He's got 1,300 food per minute coming on in, and he's still got 900 gold coming in passively. I mean, this is still a strong economy, right? He doesn't have to have a single villager on food, and all his villagers are on gold right now. So that's really what he's to prioritize and protect. If he can do that, maybe there's a way back into the game. I mean, ultimately, he's just needed to plunk down more town centers and build up the villager count. Sure, the situation's not looking great for him, but I don't know if it's quite yet all over. He's lost 40 villagers. So Valdemar definitely, undoubtedly, has a really strong position. But if you actually look at the gather rate per minute, the insane situation is that actually DeMu's economy is not too far behind. I mean, he's got more gold gathering per minute. Sure, he's about 300, 200 food off in terms of the gold, in terms of the food rather. About 400 off in terms of the wood. But this passive generation of resources for malians is incredibly strong. Now, Valdemar, curiously, is going for the Berkshire Palace. Interesting choice because, of course, DeMu just lost a lot of economy. You're not expecting to see him being super aggressive. It's a very weird choice in a way, I feel. But, he wants to protect his economy, make sure he's safe at home before he decides to do anything crazy. But it does feel like now this game is almost like it's Valdemar's to lose. Although, let's face it, Valdemar did lose a lot of army as well in that push and to kill those villagers. So if DeMu does have a bit of a time to try and build up forces again, he's going to try and go with 4 town centers. Still, this is a tricky situation for Valdemar. He needs to move out on the map quickly. It feels like it's stalled out a little bit, which is kind of curious, right? Because I'm not sure what's happened to his food economy. I mean, I guess he had to sacrifice villagers to build the Berkshire Palace, but it was like it's taking him a long time to move out on the map and punish DeMu even further. 4th town center is now operational for DeMu. Something seems off. I'm not too sure what it is, because Valdemar's not really putting pressure on the map, despite having killed 40 villagers in the game so far. I guess that's the power of the cow boom, right? 4 mills were producing cows. He expanded the economy incredibly fast, and of course, the Castle Age landmark just compounded that even further with the Grand Fulani Coral. Meant the food income was incredible for DeMu. Now, curiously enough, it's actually DeMu in a good spot in terms of the sacred site control. He's activated the timer. But it will take some time before DeMu will really feel comfortable moving out. Speaking of moving out, Valdemar shows no signs of doing so himself, being distracted by a couple of warrior scouts in the end. Devon Throws just going to be meeting these spearmen rather. Well, to be fair, the Ford 400 just takes care of it. Really passive game from Valdemar, gotta say. He's prepping the siege engines to move on out. He's getting enclosures and he's getting the 3rd and final ranged attack upgrade. Plate cutter point. DeMu getting some important upgrades himself, getting the elite warrior scout upgrade. A unit which has done really well for him in this game so far. Brought in a lot of food in the scouts from the deer camp. It's also been a good tanking unit so far. It's a bit of a nuisance as well. It's going to burn this down. It's actually going to get the stone walls up on this right side, which does actually give DeMu a good measure of protection on this gold. Curiously enough, Valdemar still stuck at home in his base, needing to get all these upgrades that are pretty expensive. Now Warrior Scout will cut off the retreat of that village, I'm afraid, and we'll actually probably be able to torch this through. Villagers might come out to repair, but I think with this amount of torch damage, I don't think he can out repair this. Needs to buy some time for the army to get there. Some units are heading in that position. I suspect they will break their way through, and yeah, it's going to take a lot. I think all these villagers die in the end. They're being body blocked after all. They are taken down. Valdemar just decapping the sacred site. He needs to. It's a bit unfortunate there for DeMu. You know, sacred site victory is a win condition for him, and feels a bit cheaply that he's losing that sacred site. But he doesn't have huge numbers of units to play around with, although there is army here, to be fair. That could have been camped on that sacred site. And good number of spearmen. You can just see how tanky these warrior scouts are. He's only lost one in that position so far, despite so many spearmen being there. In fact, it was the longbow that killed that off in the end. Although this time, this number of spearmen, yeah, should get a couple more warrior scouts. Handful for sure, but it's just forcing Valdemar to stay at home. It's buying time for DeMu, no doubt about it. Berkshire Palace getting involved as well in the northern sacred site. He's now trying to get control of this position with a couple of javelin throws. They surprisingly do really well against the man-at-arms, I've got to say. I mean, he doesn't even have plate cut a point. The scouts just really harassing that wood line, forcing Valdemar to keep his units back at home. And DeMu to build up his economy once again. Up to 79 villagers, of course, being on 4 town centers will help with that. His income is actually looking really strong. In fact, if anything, DeMu's economy is actually stronger than Valdemar's. Feels like in this matchup, Valdemar needed to be a bit more aggressive, and all of a sudden, feels like Valdemar, after being in a really strong position, almost feels like actually he's not been able to capitalize on it, really. Speaking of capitalizing on things, the javelin throwers trying to capitalize on these longbows being unprotected relatively, although the man-at-arms are going to charge these javelin throwers down. But they're doing remarkably well. It's surprising to see actually how well they're doing against man-at-arms. They probably will be chopped to pieces before too long, because even the man... Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's a fight that DeMu won't mind too much. As long as it buys him more time, which it appears to be doing. Getting wood and gold here in the south. This is a key strategic location for the map at all, that's for sure. Valdemar not spotting the villagers there so far, I think, though. Yeah, now sending military down the middle. Looks like he's trying to put some pressure on the field. He does have to break through the fort of the Huntress to get through the rest of the main base. Looks like Valdemar starting to build up some forward defensive positions, some walls. To try and slowly make a push. He's going to try and make a bit of a push on the fort of the Huntress with the bombard. But, you know, I don't think DeMu's too far behind in terms of military numbers. He just needs to group up together and keep producing. And, of course, he's got the warrior scouts to be able to produce with the free food that he's getting passively from the cattles, right? I think it's a big deal. It's just a food costing unit. Not costing anything else. And it feels like, because of that, it's actually going to be able to be a really good tanking unit for the next 5-10 minutes for DeMu. Just keeping an eye on the south, protecting these villagers, probably a good idea. He's engaged in a bit of a battle here in the north. He's got to be careful not to commit too many units down the south. What is he going to go with this? He's going to try and raid, I think, with the scouts. Although the stone walls, yeah, I don't think the stone walls will go up in time. Well, yeah, okay, yep. He's A moved now, and he's clicked behind the wall, so they will pass through. Down in the middle, taking the fight around the fort of the Huntress. And the fort of the Huntress may go down now. There are 2 bombards after all. They'll buy some time. It looks like DeMu's in a bit of a sticky situation. He has committed now to some Musafadi gunners, which will do pretty well against the man-at-arms, of course. This is possibly not a fight that's not particularly great for him, but he might get a bit of raiding down the back, and if DeMu can kill some villagers that Valdemar has in his economy, maybe this is a way back into the game, but he's definitely got to hold this position down in the middle of the map, and he probably should be able to, considering he's got defender's advantage. Villagers coming out to repair the fort of the Huntress once again. Longbow numbers not looking too great, so I think it should be okay, DeMu, overall, all things considered. Now the warrior scouts around the pack. This is going to be a pain to deal with for Valdemar. I guess in the end, actually, the Berkshire Palace probably was the right choice. It's probably going to be a big part of the defense that he has against that. Trying to repair here, DeMu. 3 bombards up against him, but in the end, actually, he's going to win this fight down the middle. You can see the military numbers starting to go in the way of the Malians. And this is a problem for Valdemar. Like, we talked about how much damage Valdemar did to the economy of DeMu with those villager kills. But DeMu's going to repay the favor. He's going to cause a lot of idle time on these farms, and he's going to delight a lot of food income as well as gold income, because of course enclosures is in play for these farms. So they would have been generating gold passively if they were being worked. But fighting underneath the Berkshire Palace and this number of spin, probably not an ideal move. It's buying time for DeMu. But he is able to, he's able to recover actually down the middle. Oh, 3 bombards, take out the Fort of the Huntress once again. A lot of repairs going into this, so he's losing a lot of resources to do this. He needs to try and find a way to deal with this number of bombards and siege that's on the way. There's a 4th bombard being added. But what I guess DeMu's doing in a really nice fashion is forcing half of Valdemar's army, or at least a good proportion of it, to stay at home. It means he's got less fighting power down the middle, which of course when DeMu fights he's able to reinforce with the defender's advantage. The production is so close to the actual fight itself that actually when Valdemar loses the units, it's a bit of a problem. Warrior Scouts just being a pain in the backside. He's actually killed a good proportion of the villagers, 20 so far. It's not a bad trade with those Warrior Scouts by any means. Musafada Gun is coming into the play. This is a really strong unit. Question is, what can Valdemar do against it? It doesn't have the mangonels he possibly would want. He's got 1 so far. He'll probably have a tough time going pure man-at-arms. Possibly longbows could be an option with the extra range that they may get. But then it leaves them exposed up against mangonels, right? So it's a bit of a tricky situation with this army composition for Valdemar. DeMu's put himself in a good spot after, it's a pretty good recovery, you could say that much. After the massacre that happened earlier on in the game. He's only now getting the university techs. The university is not even actually built just yet, so it will take some time to get there. DeMu, despite having so much eco damage suffered on his part, he's been able to get absolutely every single economy upgrade in the game. Slowly but surely though, looks like Valdemar trying to gain momentum. No real premium units though for him, mostly spearmen. Some good number of siege as well, I guess. 32 minutes on the clock. DeMu's definitely made a game of this. It just feels like the pushes of Valdemar just haven't had that massive sting that he'd want, and having palisade walls hasn't really helped him hugely. It's the stone walls that's really going to be influential, and he's managed to get his up actually, so maybe now feels a bit more confident about moving out. But make no mistake about it, those warrior scouts did actually cause a lot of problem here for Valdemar. Not only did it idle villagers, it actually killed villagers, and it meant that some of the army had to stay back at home, and meant the push down the middle wasn't as strong as it could have been. So all those factors combined has allowed DeMu to buy time and get himself back into the game. A couple of spearmen in the north just trying to find some value, not running into anything just yet. Alright, the bombards will make short work of the town centres if they get close enough. Yeah, double shots them with 4 bombards. Attacking the lumber camp gave the early warning there for DeMu, so those villagers won't be slain today, at least not now. Valdemar continues to push, and he might actually have enough stone for a forward keep that could really solidify his position. Bear in mind, network of castles is not in play here, although he is extending that, so he's coming in soon. And there will be network of citadels as well, so having this online is really important to any sort of fight that's about to start. So he will definitely want that outpost. DeMu trying to find some time, if he can, to build up a force once again. He actually does have a decent sizable army, just not wanting to engage just yet. Got elite javelin throws. He's actually adding a couple of software as well. Musafadi warriors, I should say. And a couple of elite software as well, so very mixed army. This is a fight that I think DeMu wins, doesn't he? I mean, there's a good number of spearmen that will take out the cavalry. But there's Musafadi warriors that will do well. There's the elite gunners behind this, and there's a lot of mangonels. This is a fight that DeMu will win. There's a lot of infantry there that are super exposed for Valdemar. Exposed to the mangonel fights. He's even losing a couple of bombards to them. Does have a couple of units around the back. They're not really achieving too much there. Ultimately, they're for Valdemar. Chomp at the bit with these villagers. Not enough wood on the repairs, so It is not fully repaired, this Fort of the Hundreds, but it probably will be because, I mean, Valdemar's kind of floundering a little bit. It's getting a keep down the middle. Maybe it's his turn to lose a keep. He might have to delete that, you know. I don't think he's going to be able to get that up. I don't think he achieves that. There are a couple of mangonels, though, so they will do some work against the gunners. He pulls the gunners back here, DeMu. And even if he does get the keep, the mangonels have had a good number of shots off it, so it's going to be heavily damaged. Oh, he's going to lose the keep, Valdemar! And he didn't delete it, so he will recover basically none of the stone. And that is so painful. And the mangonels there, there's just so much more there for DeMu, I think. Especially with the gunners. They'll chop through those man-at-arms in the end. And to be fair, DeMu's lost a lot of his mangonels, so Valdemar is gaining some momentum, but he's not going to be able to keep up to these Mutafadi gunners. He should be able to retreat back away from this, and that was a big loss in that fight for Valdemar, having lost all that stone on the keep. Speaking of stone, DeMu trying to get more stone for his own, and get maybe some more keeps of his own. It's fascinating that DeMu's here on this wood line. I mean, they have to make a play for the middle, right, eventually, because that's where all the wood is. And Valdemar spots it, so he's going to get an outpost of his own. But it's just being poked and prodded, but Valdemar, he's not letting up just yet. Moving further down in the middle, he does have both the sacred sites. Potentially, sacred site victory could be on the way. Although with the Fort of the Huntress up, that's going to be a bit of an easy target for DeMu to decap. Outpost just about to go up, and Demu's going to find out the hard way. Although he's not actually got an emplacement just yet, and nothing garrison inside, so he's definitely going to want to do that, Valdemar. In fact, the outpost there, the tall outpost, is that working for him? Looks like it. Looks like Valdemar looking to try and carve up the map, trying to protect the wood income, right? Those walls in the north probably won't go up in the end. Now, both players do have civilizations that get access to passive gold generation, so the gold in the middle of the map, it's not a huge deal. It's still great to have, but without it, it's not the end of the world, although yeah, you would want it more than you wouldn't. He's going to take the fight here with a good number of mangonels for DeMu. 2 of them. Doing a good amount of damage, and the warrior scouts, they're superbly tanky. These Mutafadi warriors going to be able to chop down these mangonels as well, most likely. He should be able to break through and take them out. I don't think Valdemar rescues them in time. Down in the middle of the map, DeMu looking to solidify his position with the keep. And he should be able to get it up in the end. Does have a couple of cannon placements in these outposts, Valdemar, but it probably won't be enough. And the issue is that actually these warrior scouts, they get so much value, right? They're a unit that just only costs food. When they kill siege units, it's a big deal. He's fighting with a network of citadels, but look at this. DeMu is starting to get a foothold. He's getting more mangonels as well, more siege engines. Gold is a bit of a problem for both players as it happens. When you've got warrior scouts, does it really matter? Both players do have spring and replacements, but they don't care. They need as much wood as they possibly can get. Although DeMu's actually got a lot in the bank, to be fair. And DeMu can afford a lot of repairs on his keep, or maybe even get another. Trying to drag in the spearmen to the fight, into the mass mangonels. This could be tricky for Valdemar to hold, just with the type of units he's up against. And both players do back away from this wood line in the end. Although actually Valdemar's got a couple of villagers still chopping at the wood. Oh, that's a massive mangonel shot. Those spearmen walked right into it. He's trying to chase it down, but he's going to run into the keep as well. And I'm not so sure about the situation for Valdemar. He wants to try and pressurize the issue. He wants to try and do something with his army. He's running to all sorts of trouble. The gunners going in the north, going to absolutely chew through those English units. Villagers coming out to repair. The mangonels could get some really big hits here. He needs to clear out the army. He needs to take out the bombards though, DeMu, if he can, because he won't want to lose this keep. He's got enough stone for repairs, and the villagers should be able to out-repair this. Mutafadi warriors once again trying to break down the bombards. One bombard does pack up. Even if he doesn't lose it, it's good for DeMu. Well, he will lose one in the end anyway. But the most important thing is that Valdemar is retreating. Down in the south, little amounts of wood still remaining. Sacred Site victory is still an option here for Valdemar. 4.5 minutes on the clock. He is not far off it. Surprised to see DeMu not on that Sacred Site with a couple of units. He does have the Fort of the Huntress there after all. I'm sure he'll get the ding-dong at the 3-minute mark. Maybe he forgot about it. Valdemar looking to reset and regroup. A lot of food income per minute. Not as much gold as he perhaps would want. Speaking of gold, DeMu absolutely soaking up this gold with 22 villagers on it. We're going to start fighting off on the northern side. Getting a keep in this position is actually really nice there for DeMu. It helps protect it a lot. Now Valdemar will be able to get some wood off this. But as he does chop a bit closer towards the keep, he will be under pressure. The keep will absolutely decimate those villagers if he's not paying attention. DeMu was paying attention to the siege there, doesn't lose any. Here comes a big push though for Valdemar, but there's only one bombard, right? So it'll take some time to break through this keep. The mangonels will make short work of these spearmen, that's for sure. Fortunately, without any cavalry for Valdemar, he doesn't have an option against these mangonels. I think it's a big deal that he's up against, right? He doesn't have cavalry to take them out, and that's kind of their only counter these days, with the Springles being, you know, totally reworked. Unfortunately, without a counter to these mangonels, Valdemar does have to back away. Now he is 3.5 minutes on the clock for the sacred site, although that is now being decapped. There it goes, and unfortunately for Valdemar, he wasn't able to protect the sacred sites. Another bit of a raid with the warrior scouts down the south, just being a thorn in the backside. And it's because of the overchop there as it happens. He's paid attention. That's how the warrior scouts got through. Things are going right here for DeMu. Despite having lost double the number of villagers than Valdemar has, he's still very much in this game. These warrior scouts, they're taking out siege engines like anything. Another mangonel about to be going down for sure, and he'll probably get the bombard too. This push is heavy. DeMu, he's making some inroads. I think Valdemar's starting to lose his grip on the game, would you believe? Down in the south, these warrior scouts completely uncontested. The spearman mobility is just so slow that it takes them so much time to get where they need to be. And they're just ignoring the warrior scouts. There they go. They're going to engage now. Up in the north. Oh, the keep affecting the villagers here. Valdemar going to lose even more. Down in the middle. He's finding it difficult to hold. More pit mines coming out for DeMu. There's a siege deathball here. Valdemar just doesn't have an answer to. Oh, he's noticed it now. Warrior scouts though, gonna get some value here. He should be able to get behind the walls. Down the middle. Oh, massive mangonel shots. These spearmen, they are going to struggle to get rid of these mangonels. And warrior scouts, they'll just tank. Sure, the spearmen counter them, but well, when you've got this number of mangonels behind them, it doesn't really matter. Up in the north, warrior scouts being chased by spearmen, but running into the keep in the end. And I think keeping the siege alive here for DeMu will be key if he wants to win this game. The warrior scouts are tanking. This army composition is absolutely amazing for the Malians. Malian enjoyers will be excited by the prospect of trying this out on the rank ladder, I imagine. Spearmen have been taken care of in the north. This mangonel deathball is looking good. Don't let the army count fool you. Sure, it says 35 for DeMu, 41 for Valdemar, but you've got to add in the siege as well. The plus 21 for DeMu there. There's only a handful of trees left there for Valdemar to chop through before he runs out. And a couple more big mangonel shots could be what wins the game for DeMu. Valdemar, it feels like he's run out of steam. He's run out of answers. He's just not found a solution up against the mangonels. Transitioning onto horsemen potentially could have been a play. But he's worried about the transition to Donsos maybe from the Malians. It's a bit of a distraction down in the middle. DeMu baiting in with a couple of warrior scouts, but down the south rather. It's been a long game, it's been a long day. Yeah, we're going to see some more villagers going down, and Valdemar's going to have to peel off army here once again. He can never push down the middle because of it. And the warrior scouts are doing a lot of damage throughout the whole game, really. Got a good number of spearmen, but they're going to get absolutely decimated by these mangonels. Back at home, he's being raided once again. This has got to be so frustrating for Valdemar because, you know, these spearmen just can't keep up. They're being they're having to chase for a long time. And every time they get close, DeMu pulls the warrior scouts away. And speaking of getting close, they're struggling to get even close to the siege deathball. The spearmen can't stop for a second. Oh, mangonels absolutely decimate them. DeMu's just being so annoying. Getting rid of houses as well. He's going to spot the bit of economy in the north and try and break through. I mean, I think with this number of warrior scouts, he will break through in the end. And sure, I mean, I don't think DeMu can stay for too long. There's a lot of spearmen, but ultimately, villagers are being... I mean, he's going to take the fight anyway. It's insane how well these warrior scouts are doing up against their counter units. He's killing villagers massively, and look at the villager kill count. Valdemar trying to get a bit of raiding with his own spearmen, but they don't do half as much damage, it seems, against the villagers the warrior scouts seeming to do. And look at that. DeMu's killed 88 villagers, 89 and counting. Mangonels demolishing these units. He has added in a couple of hand cannoneers, Valdemar, but he's struggling to get close to these siege engines. He does take out one, possibly takes out a second mangonel, but probably won't achieve too much more than that. Oh, bit of an outpost rush there for Valdemar, why not? An absolute massacre in this game. More than 200 villagers killed for both players in total. He's just going to run in with the warrior scouts. The mangonels behind them could get some really good shots. I mean, the warrior scouts on their own are doing a lot of work, that's for sure. Looks like this could be a final fight. Warrior scouts are now having to back away. This is a big force by Valdemar, though. Could this be a push that really decimates these mangonels? There's a bit of a choke point with the outpost, with the keep as well. He's trying to make a play for it. He's going to push down the middle with the spearmen. The warrior scouts are tanking as much as they possibly can. Can Valdemar do it? Can he break through the siege wall? I think he might have. He's got one mangonel. He's going to get a second. Mangonels are now retreating. The issue is the defender's advantage will be there for DeMu. DeMu down to 14 military units. He might lose the siege engines. This is a really good push by Valdemar, and he needed it. Going to idle some of the farms in the north, and he will clear out the majority of these mangonels. That is exactly what Valdemar needed. He's got to do some infrastructural damage, right? He's got to take out the passive generation of food and gold. It's one thing killing the units, but you know what? DeMu's income is so strong. He'll be able to replace it in a blink of an eye. Valdemar somehow has to deal with his cow boom. He somehow has to deal with the pit mines. He's dealing with the farms at least. The push has stopped. Valdemar having to back away once again. He's not been able to do too much damage in terms of infrastructural damage. He's got all a really good trade against the army. He needs to find the energy. He needs to find the resources in the army to get another push. Look at the mangonels again. They came out so quickly for DeMu again. Oh, massive mangonel shots on the spearmen. They're getting close to the villagers, and a lot of the villagers did make it out of there. Mangonels once again. They have killed so many English units. There's times like these I wish we did have a kill counter on the units to see how many they have decimated. Looks like again maybe DeMu this time. It's definitely a pendular game. It's been a back and forth, and I think DeMu might be having the ascendancy this time. It certainly looks like it. Valdemar looks like he's struggling to hold 35 military units. He doesn't have the food income. I mean, he's got the food income, but just doesn't have the bank of it, right? I think he's just losing so many units. Look at the army value. Almost triple there for DeMu. In fact, I think it's more than triple. Yeah, about triple. He's going to go for the sacred site. The trouble for Valdemar once again, he needs to find a way to deal with the siege engines. Chucking spearmen at it worked the first time round. I get the feeling it might not work this time round, because now DeMu has added in elite archers with poison arrows. And that could be the final nail in the coffin. 102 military versus 30. Valdemar, he is running out of steam. And if DeMu can start taking out this production building in the front positions, Valdemar, even if he has the resources, he won't be able to replace the army. And the mangonels, they've just done so much work for DeMu. That might get him out of this. The warrior scout's going to torch through buildings. They really do double up as a great tanking unit, but also a sieging unit. Mangonels will do the rest. This army looks incredibly hard to counter. Mr. Gunners and the archers as well. DeMu doing what he's been doing all game, almost. After the disaster he suffered, at least. It's warrior scouts at the back of the English base. And a massive army down the middle. Now bear in mind, of course, the passive generation of income for the Malians means that they can have more population space freed up for army. That's exactly what DeMu's doing. Valdemar, 150 population, he's suffering. DeMu trying to cause more idle time around the back. He's back on wood though, at least, Valdemar. But he's going to have to go up against another win condition now, which is this Sacred Site victory. And DeMu with the Fort of the Huntress in the southern Sacred Site. His army on the northern one. He looks to be in a really good spot in this game. Valdemar giving up a bit of ground, looking to regroup underneath the Berkshire Palace. Despite fighting with a network of citadels, DeMu's been able to take some really good fights. As the scouts now going for the villages of the woodline, this could be the final nail in the coffin, because there's nothing here for Valdemar to protect. I mean, there's the outpost with the Spigon replacements, but the warrior scouts just don't care. Let's go for another mad dash down the middle. He's got one mangonel of his own though, Valdemar. It's going to be the saving grace maybe for him. But this army is just too strong. Look at that massive mangonel shot, taking out these units like anything. It's just been the problem for him all game long. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. GG gets called. Valdemar, he crumbles under the might of the Malians, and would you believe it, after losing 40 villagers within the space of about a minute, DeMu somehow claws it back. An incredible game of Age of Empires 4. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and I'll see you next time.